Have you ever stopped to think about how one tiny little word can just completely flip the entire meaning of a sentence? Well, these words are called modal verbs, and they're kind of like secret tools that add mood, intention, and all sorts of flavor to what we say. So let's go ahead and unlock this verbal toolkit and see just how powerful these little guys really are. Okay, so let's start with this. I cook food. Super simple, right? It's a fact, it tells you something I do, but let's be honest, it's a little plain. It's a blank canvas, just waiting for us to add some color.
Now watch this. We're just gonna add one word. I can cook food. Bam! All of a sudden, it's not just a fact anymore, is it? It's a statement of ability. It has this new power, a new vibe. That word can is like a little superhero, swooping in to give the main verb a special skill.
Okay, let's switch it up again. I must cook food. Whoa, the feeling is totally different now. We're not talking about ability anymore. This is about obligation, a really strong compulsion. The word must acts like a stop sign. It's signaling something that absolutely has to be done. No way around it.
And let's try just one more. I might cook food. See what's happening here? We're throwing in a little uncertainty. It's a possibility, sure, but it's definitely not a solid plan. The word might just adds this layer of doubt, kind of like a question mark just hanging in the air. Isn't that amazing? One small word changes the entire context. These words are absolutely essential to mastering English.
So what do we call these magical words? Well, they belong to a family of verbs called auxiliary verbs. You've probably heard them called helping verbs, which is a great name for them because that's exactly what they do. Think of them as the engine that gives our main verbs all their power and direction. So an auxiliary verb is, well, it's a helper. It works right alongside the main verb to give us more information, to clarify things like timing, mood, or voice. Without them, our language would be so much less expressive. Now, these helpers come in two main flavors. First, you've got your primary helpers, like be, have, and do. These guys are like multi-tools. They're super flexible, they can change their form, and they can even be the main verb sometimes. But then you have the specialists, modal auxiliaries, and these are what we're talking about today. They have really strict rules. They can never be the main verb, and this is a big one, they never change their form. It's always she can, never she cans. So let's open up our toolkit, shall we? I want you to think of each modal verb as a specific tool that's designed for a very particular job, whether that job is showing you can do something, asking permission, or saying you have to do something. All right, let's grab our first couple of tools out of the kit. These are the ones we're going to use when we want to talk about ability and permission, what you can do and what you're allowed to do. So can is our go-to tool for right now. Like, she can speak 3 languages, tells you about her ability in the present. But could is a bit more of a multitasker. It can talk about the past. When I was 5, I could climb any tree. But it's also a secret weapon for sounding more polite. Think about it. Could you pass the salt? Just sounds a little nicer, a little softer than can you pass the salt? Okay, but what about those times when things aren't so black and white? For that, we need the tools of possibility. These are the modals we pull out when we're dealing with chance or when we're just not 100% sure about something. May is for a pretty solid possibility, like it may snow tomorrow. It's also the more formal, proper way to ask for permission. May I use your phone? Now, might is its slightly less certain cousin. When you say she might come to the party, you're hinting that it's a bit of a long shot, a more remote possibility. All right, time to bring out the power tools. These are the modals that really lay down the law. We use them for duties, rules, and for giving really strong recommendations. The key here is really understanding the level of force. Must is non-negotiable. You must wear a seatbelt. It's a rule, end of story. Should is more like strong advice. You should see a doctor. It's just the smart, sensible thing to do. And then there's ought to, which carries this heavy sense of moral duty, like you ought to apologize. All right, you've seen the tools in the kit. Now it's your turn. Let's put them to work. We're going to try a couple of scenarios to see how well you can pick the right modal for the job. Okay, first one up, we want to express an obligation here. So what modal verb do you think fits best in this sentence? You, blank, respect all religions. Take a second, think about the level of obligation you're trying to communicate. So this is a perfect example of how context is absolutely everything. Both should and must work here, but they give off a totally different vibe. You should respect all religions feels like a moral obligation. It's the right thing to do. But you must respect all religions makes it a much stronger, almost non-negotiable rule. See the difference?
Let's try another one. You need to ask someone for help, but you want to be really polite about it. Which modal would you use to kick off this question?
Yep, you got it. Both could and would are perfect for making polite requests. Could you please help and would you please help are both really soft, respectful ways to ask for a hand. It just goes to show you that sometimes there's more than one right tool for the job. So, we've definitely seen how these tiny little words can have a huge impact on our sentences. Let's do a quick recap of the most important things to remember so you can start using these with total confidence. Okay, if you remember anything, remember these 3 golden rules. You just can't go wrong. Rule number 1, modals are helpers. They always need a main verb to help out. Rule 2, they're stubborn. They never change their form. No S, no ED. It's always she can, he must. And rule 3, the main verb that comes after them stays in its simplest, most basic form. We say, I can go, never I can to go. When you get right down to it, mastering modals is like unlocking a new communication superpower. You can now express yourself so much more precisely. You can clearly communicate ability, possibility, obligation, you name it. You literally have the power to change the entire mood of a sentence with just one word. So there you have it. You've got the tools. You understand the power they have. The only question left is, how are you going to use them? Are you going to build bridges with polite requests, or maybe draw some lines with firm obligations? The choice now is all yours.